What's up? It's your boy Jason. Welcome back to the Fairly Decent podcast. And today we have a bunch of hot topics. But first, I want to thank y'all for coming back and joining me this week. Last week did amazing numbers, so really big shout out to y'all for that. That was amazing to see. Both on the YouTube and the Spotify. So yeah, thank y'all again for that. That was awesome. And again, if you haven't already, just make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to. It really does help the channel, as annoying as that sounds. YouTube looks at that kind of stuff. So yeah, as much as you guys can, just participate as much as possible. And yeah, let's keep this thing going. All right, so let's get into it. This week we finally have new music, and it couldn't be from better people. So this past Wednesday was the Christmas at Graceland concert event. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but a bunch of people came and sang, and it looked like a good time. I didn't actually watch it. I just caught the highlights of it, but just some of the people that were there, Dolly Parton, Jennifer Hudson, John Bon Jovi, Cher, did I already say Kane Brown? If not, Kane Brown was there. Post Malone had performed. I know that was a big deal. And then Lana Del Rey also performed. And I believe she did Take Me Home, Country Roads, West Virginia. Y'all know that song I'm talking about. Yeah, so she did her own version of it. And it came across my feed. She put out the audio for it, and it really just sounds like the same way it was recorded every single time it's ever been sung. So cool, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how to go about not just critiquing it, but even having a feeling about it. Kind of sounds the exact same. So shout out to Lana Del Rey for doing that, I guess. I mean, we all love the song, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's kind of just the exact same as it's always been done. So, like I said, shout out to her for doing that. And if you don't know, you about to know. Let me get my shit off real quick. Burr, 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 burr. That's right. The queen is back. She never left. Queen Bee blessed us again. Now, this is part of the Renaissance thing, tour, show. It's called My House. And let me tell y'all, the beat is banging. And that shit is finna be on my playlist for the next 12 months, y'all. Damn, I wish this shit would not get demonetized because of copyright and all that, because I would play this shit right now, right here on the podcast. But y'all know how that goes on YouTube. They would claim my episode in about 5 seconds. And we ain't big enough yet for that, so y'all just gonna have to go listen to it on your own. But if I had the words for it, honestly, this shit is banging, y'all. Like, do y'all hear it in my voice right now? This thing is hot fire. Like, don't light a match because your phone will blow up. Like, the only thing I can say is, uh-oh. If you've heard it, y'all know what I mean. Shit is banging. Shit's gonna bang until the end of time. Shit's gonna be on my playlist forever. Dog, do you hear me? Forever. She blessed us. Big time. So let's just all hold hands and say it together. Thank you, Queen. Thank you. And this kind of leads me to the next topic. And I've totally created this on my own. There is no factual information about this. This is totally my thoughts and my thoughts only. Probably wrong, but who cares? It's the internet. What do you want us to do? See, now in my head, somewhere deep and dark, I believe that there is a Taylor Swift and Beyoncé beef, and we just don't know about it. Does anybody else think that? Surely they have a beef. How could they not have a beef? They're two of the biggest females in all of the world. They have tours that run consecutive to each other. They have number one singles and number one albums. So there is no shot that these two are friends. So real quick, let's just gather some stats and figure this all out. All right, now according to Forbes magazine, all right, let's start at the top. The basics. Beyoncé is worth $540 million. Taylor Swift is reported to be worth $740 million. So now this one, I'm thinking they're not too worried about this because Beyonce is also married to Jay-Z, so her net worth realistically is probably twice that. And Taylor is not married. God, don't even get me started on the subject again. So the net worth, fine. We'll leave that one alone. All right, so let's get to the real bread and butter here. Let's compare the tours. Now we have the Renaissance tour versus the Eras tour. let's see. The number of shows, there were 57 shows on Beyonce's tour, and there were 60 shows on Taylor's tour. And let's check the tickets. Let's see. The maximum price of a Beyonce ticket during initial sales was $5,000, and the most expensive for Taylor Swift's was $899. Now, I'm not exactly sure how those two are that far off, but yeah, that's according to Forbes. Here's where it gets even more confusing. So the resale ticket values, I guess they both had shows on May 26th, and a Beyonce ticket resold for $4,722, while a ticket for Taylor Swift sold for $92,149, which is absolutely insane in my book. I could never fathom spending that much money to go see Taylor Swift, but shout out to the Swifties. They always get it done. Now, obviously, neither one of them wants this to happen. I mean, they want to keep their ticket sales at the price that they set them, but the resale ticket market is kind of uncontrollable. I know they're trying to crack down on it as hard as possible, but it's just one of those things like trying to stop drugs. I mean, you're never going to get ahead of that game. The resale ticket game is always going to be around, and you just have to face it is what it is. Now, as far as their beef goes, I don't think this has too much in it, and I swear I'm getting to how these two have to be beefing. There's just no way they aren't. Because the next thing we get to is social media. And now a lot of people are going to say, they don't care. Yes, they do. Everybody cares. I don't care what anybody says. You care how many followers you have, or else you wouldn't have the account. You wouldn't post to it if you didn't care. And here's why I know they care. Because it's not even close. If you go to Instagram, Beyonce has 309 million Instagram followers. Taylor Swift has 259 million. They care. I promise you, they watch those numbers and they care. They write albums worth of Instagram captions. And I don't care what anybody says. This next stat, they definitely care about. Beyonce is ranked 41st on Spotify. Taylor Swift is ranked 3rd. I promise you they care. And again, this is based on no factual information at all, but again, it's the internet. We have to make assumptions like this. And then we get to the main event. We get to the EGOT status. Taylor Swift, 1 Emmy. Beyonce, 0. Grammys, Beyonce, 32. Taylor Swift, 12. Oscars, neither one. Tony, neither one. Now you tell me that these two aren't sitting back looking at those 2 zeros at the end and thinking, I'm going to beat that bitch to one of these awards. There has to be beef there. There has to. It may not be big beef, but there has to be something there where each one is looking at the other one like, man, if I could, I would bury you into the ground. And not physically, metaphorically, obviously, but still, you have to believe that they're looking at each other like, there can't be 2 of us here. The people are going to have to choose. There can only be one. Who's it going to be? So I leave the question up to y'all. If you had to choose one, you can only choose one. Who would it be? And I know I'm going to get those annoying people that are like, you can't just choose one. They're different. They're 2 beautiful queens. They're both thriving, both living their best life. Well, guess what? They hate each other. I know it. You know it. We all know it. You have to choose one. All right, we went on a little rant there for a minute. Decided to take a break and figure out what I'm doing with my life here. All right, so the Grammys is at it again. They did a live stream concert and tribute to hip hop on November 8th of this year, and the live on-air television premiere is going to be on December 10th. Now, myself, I did not catch this live when it happened. It happened on YouTube, apparently, in Inglewood, California. I did not catch it. I actually didn't even catch the highlights, so I'm actually going to stick this one out until the 10th to get a live reaction on it. If you did catch it, sweet. I'll be back to talk about it after the 10th. It just freaks me out, man. It freaks me out anytime these major award ceremonies get involved with what they call hip-hop, which is a gray area sometimes. Because we have this thing that we love called hip-hop, and it can be interpreted hundreds of different ways. Now, to me and my friend group, we don't consider it a genre of music. We consider it a lifestyle or a movement that happened, or rather is still happening. It's not just music, it's the clothes we wear, the way we talk, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we move through this society of ours, if that makes any sense. Like, you don't listen to hip hop, you live hip hop. And I know that sounds like the corniest thing anybody could ever say. And I wish I had a better way of describing it, but that's the only way I can describe it. And so back to this whole Grammys thing. It freaks me out because historically, when these companies get a hold of what they call hip hop, they kind of don't know how to properly present it to the world. Like, it's usually corny, it's way overdone, it's way too dramatic. It just generally leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, by no means am I the gatekeeper to hip hop, a white kid from Newport News, Virginia, but I feel like I do have a connection and genuine love and knowledge of hip hop. And so I am going to give this a chance. I'm going through the list right now of artists to be performing or have something to do with this. We have Black Thought, Bun B, Common, De La Soul, Jermaine Dupri, Talib Kweli, MC Sha Rock, LL Cool J, Lady of Rage, Pharcyde, Uncle Luke, Remy Ma, Rakim, Questlove, which are all historically classic hip-hop acts. So in that regard, it does sound like they're at least reaching out to the right people to present hip-hop as it should be presented as far as music goes. And the fact that they're reaching out to some of the newer age of hip-hop like 2 Chainz, T.I., Gunna, Glorilla, 3 6 Mafia, Jeezy, YG, that kind of shows that they've got at least a little insight of what's going on in this hip-hop world. So really all there's left to do is just sit and pray. It sounds like it's going to be different than past years of these kind of odes to hip-hop. So let's just hope that the artists they've reached out to also help in the production of this show. Because at the end of the day, that's all this really needs, is just somebody who's from the culture actually produce this show. So yeah, December 10th, 8:30 on CBS. Make sure you guys check it out if you haven't already. Alright, so we're keeping it on music this week, but this time we're going to go inside the courtroom and get a little update on the Young Thug YSL RICO case. Now, if you haven't been following this case, I think it's been going on since 2001. Anyway, Young Thug has been in jail for going on 567 days and is facing charges that include conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, or as we call it, the RICO Act, and 2 different counts of participation in criminal street gang activity. He's also being charged with possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of codeine with the intent to distribute, possession of cocaine, possession of a firearm, and possession of a machine gun, which he has pleaded not guilty to. Now, Thug's trial began pretty recently on November 27th of this year. And during the first portion of these court proceedings, Detective Mark Belknap was the first witness in this case. And midway through his testimony, the judge, Earl Glanville, called for a 10-minute break. And apparently 10 minutes turned to 20 minutes, that turned to 30 minutes, and then finally turned into 45 minutes, according to the live stream of the trial. And during this time, it looks like attorneys from both sides reportedly were meeting with Glanville about an issue. And after the recess, Glanville told the courtroom that some jurors had been shown on the trial's live stream. Around this time, still shots from the video showing the jurors' faces had rapidly spread online, which led to thousands of people making claims that they were familiar with members of the jury. Now, I ain't never been on trial for a RICO case, and I'm no judge or jury, but that does not sound good at all for the people's faces who were shown during this live stream. This sounds like I might not be able to go home anymore because of this. Now, this is from the Los Angeles Times. It says, Glanville requested that members of the media in the courtroom no longer record images, but said they were allowed to record audio. He didn't place blame on anyone in the courtroom for the mistake, instead referring to some security issues and citing the fact that we had an inadvertent recording of some of our jurors on the front row. Glanville then called in the jury and Belknap's testimony resumed. Now again, I'm not in a gang, but this can't be legal in a courtroom for them to continue to be jurors on this case, especially when their faces have been shown. This is just asking for witness tampering and potentially the harm or death, murder to some of these people on the jury and their families as well. I mean, this trial is already messy enough. On November 9th, Glanville announced that he would allow prosecutors to introduce 17 sets of lyrics as evidence of Williams's and others' alleged criminal acts. The decision goes against the defense attorney's arguments that lyrics are constitutionally protected speech and would be unfairly prejudicial, according to the Associated Press. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really know where that stands. I mean, if you rap about killing somebody and give the people the details, I mean, you're basically admitting guilt that, yeah, I did this and this is how I did it. But I don't ever like to see these guys and girls locked up for cases like this. I know if they did it and they're guilty, then they're going to get the time they deserve, but I don't like seeing them locked up when they're taking care of their families and a whole community is reliant on them. It just sucks both ways. So we'll just have to wait and see how this trial goes. I'm going to keep up with it and talk about it on here as things develop. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. You can skip through it. But yeah, this is one I'm going to pay close attention to because this is going to set a precedent for how people write music in the future. If the court is going to be allowed to use what you say on songs in the courtroom, then music is going to change in a very, very, very big way. And I think that people are going to have to really start thinking about what they say on recordings before they actually say it. Which, again, I understand if you've committed a crime and you've rapped about it or sang about it and you actually did it and it catches up to you, sure. I mean, you only reap what you sow. But part of the artistic expression is telling your truths and telling stories. And if that's going to be used against you in court in the long run, like I said, it's going to drastically change how people write music. Or maybe it won't, and we as the consumer are just going to have to listen and decipher what's real and what's fake. I mean, we're already at that point, but we'll just have to see how either the artists adapt or don't, and we'll have to see who can tell their truths without giving us all the details. So it's definitely a scary situation for Thug right now. But only time will tell where this case goes and what lyrics they use and all of that. Yeah, we'll just have to stay tuned. All right, so I hate to end on that kind of depressing, kind of sad note. But we're not leaving with bad spirits. The week is blessed. God is good. We got that new Beyoncé that's finna be spinning all weekend long. We got another episode next week. Oh, I'm trying to do an episode for my true crime people. Yep, we're gonna do a Alec murder trial, conspiracy trial from the beginning till now. I'm hoping to have my Alec Murdaugh trial expert. You'll have to see who that is coming soon. But I have somebody in the mix that knows this thing from top to bottom and has ties with this case. Yeah, you heard me. Has ties with this case. So if y'all are excited for that, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and make sure you come back next week for another episode of Fairly Decent. Peace!